Okay, so let's talk about compound and absolute value inequalities. So let me first describe to you what each one of these compound equalities looks like algebraically. All right, I'm connected now. So on this first one, I have x is greater than or equal to, because this is filled in here, and it's going in the direction that is positive. So x is greater than or equal to -1. Our next inequality graph talks about x being less than, because you've got an open circle, and it's going in the negative direction. X is less than 2. In our third graph here, we have an intersection, right? We have two different things. We have x is greater than or equal to -1 and greater than or equal to -1, and x can be less than 2. Open circle and in this direction. And the reason I use my arrows above the graph is I think you can see it a lot better this way. So this would be an intersection of the two, which can also be written x is less than 2 and x is greater than or equal to -1. X is in between the two of them, which I think is the way you've seen it before. About this one. How would I write that one?
X is less than or equal to
1. Good. Let's write that a little bit below that. X is less than or equal to 1. And the next one?
4 is greater than,
Or x is
greater than 4.
greater than 4. Open circle, positive direction. And finally, what's this situation? Is this going to be intersection or union? Are they intersecting? There's nothing intersecting, right? So it's going to be x is less than or equal to 1 or
Greater than 4.
greater than 4. Good. See how this one's going in this direction and this one's going in that direction? It's where they're overlapping, where both of them are occurring. That's why you have and. X is between the two of them. This one is or, because it's either x is going to be in this direction or this direction. Alrighty? Alright, so let's get started. Pencils down. Let's talk about this intersection. I know it's an intersection because we're talking about 3x minus 4 being in between these two numbers, right? So I'm going to write it in two different separate inequalities. So I'm going to say 3x minus 4 is two separate scenarios. 3x minus 4, read it this way. 3x minus 4 is greater than or equal to 8, and 3x minus 4 is less than 11. Right? Isn't that what that statement's saying? It's telling me two separate things. That it's greater than 8, greater than or equal to 8, and less than 11. So I'm going to solve them like two separate inequalities. So I'm going to go ahead and add 4 to both sides. So you guys get the advantage of me teaching this for the 3rd time today, but you get the disadvantage of me not staying at the board as much because I'm recording. Okay? So, is it for you in that seat? 3x is greater than or equal to 12, and 3x is also less than 15. So x is greater than or equal to?
4.
Good job. 4, greater than or equal to, and I'm going in the positive direction, and x is less than 5, going in this direction. Now you see why I write them above like that? Now I can clearly see that we have an intersection right there. So x is in between 5 and 4, including 4, which can be written in set notation like this, so set builder notation. I think we talked about this last week. Set means a set of numbers, right? The set of numbers is included in here, which would be fractions, right? 4.5, 4.6, 4.7, 4. Is 5 included? No. So x, such that x is in between 5 and 4 with 4 included. That's how you would technically state it. Everybody good with that? That is set builder notation. So if I were to, it's just a fancy way of saying, I'm talking about this x, I'm talking about a number x, such that, that's what that line means right there. Okay, so I'm talking about x, and this is what I'm saying about x. X is between 5 and 4. All the numbers, and that's what the set means, all the numbers between 5 and 4. Whenever you see set like this, there's a difference between this. What's this? Sorry. What does this mean? 2 comma 5.
You go right to 5.
That is a point on a Cartesian plane, right? What does this mean? The set of 2 and 5. It means the answer could be 2 or the answer could be 5. That's the difference between those two different types of statements. So this is saying I've got a set of numbers, and those numbers are all the numbers that are between 4, including 4, and 5. Here's another set. Y such that y is less than 2. All the numbers less than 2. See how I did that? I'll continue to write it like that so you get used to it. How many of you are used to that already? No? A little bit? A couple of you? Seen it, not used to it yet though? Okay, from here on out, that's the way you're going to see it. Alright, let's look at this one. I have y is plus 5 is less than or equal to 7, or y minus 6 is greater than 2. Okay, so more than likely, this is going to be arrows going opposite direction. But sometimes that doesn't always happen. You have to really pay attention to that right there. Alright, so let's solve this one. So I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides. Let me change my color. So subtract 5, add 6, add 6. Y is less than or equal to 2, or y is greater than 8. So y being less than or equal to 2 would be right here in this direction. Y greater than 8 would be here. And we can write that in set builder notation, right? That would be the set of numbers y such that y is less than or equal to 2, or y is greater than 8. Okay? Questions? Yes, sir. If it asks you to put it in set builder notation, that would be the correct answer right there. Okay. I'll just be a little bit more in depth. Okay, so we accidentally skipped one with recording. So let's start with number 4. So 3x plus 4, the absolute value of 3x plus 4 needs to be less than 10. So if the distance from a certain number to 0, but it's not actually 0, in this case it's 3 times a number, the distance between that and -4, but let's not complicate it more than we need to. The distance we're talking about is going to be less than 10. Less than means it's going to be going closer to 0, right? So let's see how far it goes out. I've got 3x plus 4 is less than 10. Is this going to be an AND statement or an OR statement? If it's going towards 0, and the negative is going to be going towards 0, they're going to be both going towards 0, right? So is it going to be an AND statement or an OR statement? And 3x plus 4, but when I'm talking about the negative direction, we're going to take the opposite sign and talk about the negative direction. So when I subtract 4 from both sides, on both equations, I now get 3x is less than 6, 3x is greater than -14. Or x is less than 2, x is greater than -3 2/3. Correct? 4 2/3. Well, it kind of helps if you put it into a mixed number, then you can kind of see where it's going to go on the number line, right? You could leave it as 14/3 if you wanted to, but most people don't. Go ahead. Yeah, absolutely. What's that decimal? 4 point what? 4.666. 4.3 would be 1/3. 4.66 would be 2/3. Okay? Either way, if that's the way it makes more sense for you. Okay? All right, so x is going to be in between 2 and -4 2/3. So that would include all these numbers right here. What's this one going to look like? And or? Or? X is in between, right? When x is in between, aren't those usually and statements? Okay, let's figure it out. So I'm going to say 3x minus 1 is what? Let's go in this direction first. 3x minus 1 is greater than or equal to -4, and 3x minus 1 is less than 14. You guys are being awfully quiet. Either you really get it or you're really lost. Oh, good. Well, you guys can always raise your hand. I can pause the recording, right? So 3x is greater than or equal to -3, and 3x is less than 15. Let's go ahead and, whoa. So x is greater than or equal to -1, x is less than 5. Here's 5. Here's -1. And here's your intersection. Questions? Ready to copy? All right, let's copy your notes. Remember to think about what the steps are as you're writing the steps down. Here's the last 2 problems that I just did with you. Go ahead and record those. I'm going to check homework.